You're listening to The Other 50%, a herstory of Hollywood. I'm Julie Harris Walker. This is the podcast where I talk to successful women in entertainment and hear their stories. Our presenting sponsor is the end-to-end production solution Green Slate. Whether it's your start paperwork, time cards, purchase orders, or reports, everything is digital, everything is in the app. You can work from wherever you are. The future is actually here. And if you'd like to hear this pitch in person or see it for yourself, call me as I am working there. My number is 310-789-2001, extension 323, or jhw@gslate.com. Today I spoke over the internet with Thérèse Plummer. Thérèse is an actor and award-winning audiobook narrator working in New York City. She has recorded over 400 audiobooks for various publishers, and she won the 2019 Audie Award for her work on the Multicast Sadie by Courtney Summers for Macmillan Audio. And she was nominated for the Multicast Anyman by Amber Tamblyn for Harper Audio, and her solo narration for The Row, Planet Shaken by Lee W. Brainard for Podium Publishing. Therese is the voice of Maya Hansen in the Marvel graphic motion comic Ironman Extremis, Dr. Fennel in Pokemon, and for various Yu-Gi-Oh! Characters. She's also done television guest star roles on The Good Wife, Law & Order SVU, and Virgin River for Netflix. You can imagine how intimidating this was, having a voiceover artist on the show. Come on! Well, she told me how she broke in. It was a series of preparation meeting miracles, and she spoke about what everybody wants to know. How do you voice those sex scenes? You can find us at theother50%.com for added features, photos, show notes, and the merch. You can also listen on Apple Podcasts and all the podcast places. Okay, here's my conversation with Thérèse Plummer. What do you do?
I am an actor and a voiceover artist, and I make my living majoritively narrating audiobooks of all genres.
This is everybody's secret dream.
Is it?
When I can't tell you how many people I talk to where they think if I could just do audiobooks, that would be the dream. So, but I know hardly anybody gets to do this. Tell us how you got into this business.
It's kind of, okay, so I'm going to do the abbreviated story, but it might be a little bit long. Cut me off if it just gets too long. I came to New York City at 26 years old, which I found out very quickly was old in the acting world. And
for sure. I went there when I was 17. Wait, where'd you move from?
Moved from northeastern Pennsylvania, where I worked for 5 years as an adolescent counselor, therapist. And learned really quickly that kids don't want to talk about how they're feeling because they don't have words to put it. But what they were really amazing at was drama therapy, art therapy, music. So being a creative myself, I just naturally brought all those things into our sessions and then found that I really loved it. So I was in Boston for a year starting the expressive therapy master's program at Lesley University, which is basically all the modalities of art, music, dance, drama, writing for therapeutic techniques. And what I learned very quickly was I needed to come to New York and try to make it as an actor because I could always go back and be a therapist, but I would regret it if I didn't give it a shot. So left Boston, came to New York City, very quickly found out I needed to make money because it's a stupid expensive city to live in. Found some temp agencies. I'm giving you the abbreviated, but there's some funny stories. Found myself in an office job, old school financial firm. And they were cool enough to let me go out on auditions if I raced back and was able to be there and do my duties. So that's where I landed for about 5 years, maybe? No, it couldn't have been that long. No, it was 3 years. So during this time, I was losing my mind slowly but surely. And I would go into the handicap stall at the financial firm and do squats and push-ups and crunches and pray to whatever is out there that I wanted to be an actor and to please free me from this horrific job.
From the horrible day job. I feel like I worked in that firm as a temp in New York City. I feel you right now, sister.
Hasn't everybody had this experience, right?
God, yes.
My boss my desk was right in front of my boss's office, this is how old school it was. And it was so old school. The women all had to they highly suggested you wear skirts.
Oh, yeah. I was told we gals don't wear slacks at a job in New York.
What the hell is that? I was like, whoa, I just fell back into Mad Men. What is happening right now?
New York is more conservative than you expect.
Oh, I had no idea, especially around money. So I was there for 3 years. I was losing my mind on the daily, but I was getting my job done poorly, but surely. And
were you stapling your pictures to your resume at your desk?
I was totally stapling my headshots and resumes. I was writing plays on my downtime. I was doing everything. I was on backstage. I was trying to get up my auditions. I was like, I'll be right back. And I would race across town, drop in for an audition. I landed an agent pretty quickly because of some stupid cosmic awesomeness where an agency fell apart and then they were rebuilding and they were open to all these different people. And I had happened to have done a play with somebody who knew this person that was building up the agency again. So I had an agent, which is bizarre, right? Like nobody has an agent when they first get to the city.
Right. No, it's great.
So I was going out on all these auditions. So I was kind of losing it. So it sounds like you were in the city as well, kind of doing the acting thing. Tell me, so tell me, you get what I'm talking about, right?
Oh yeah, it's brutal.
So, Actors Connection, TVI, One-on-One, all of those places where actors go and they pay money to try to shop their wares to casting directors and different people, producers, thinking we might have a shot. So, those places, right? Did you do those when you were here? Okay.
For sure.
The last audition that I left, I did a piece from How I Learned to Drive, and I played Lil Bit, and it's this heartbreaking scene at the end of the play where she's basically like, my uncle drives away, the uncle that like abuses her. It's like heartbreaking. I look up, casting director is yawning and responding to a text.
Oh God.
I lost my shit. I finished the piece. I threw my tail between my legs. I walked out, but I got in the elevator and I was just like, what the fuck is going on? This is awful. Whoever told me to come to New York City and be an actor is an idiot. I'm out of here. I'm done. This is so stupid. Okay.
It's the worst. You have no control over your life.
None. And I'm stuck at this freaking financial firm. I was so extra at this time in my life because I just, you just want to do something. You don't know how to get there. You're trying to take the steps to get there. Okay, so pause on the story for 1 second and now do a quick little flashback. Therese's mom, my mother, is a systems librarian for the state of Delaware and is a huge audiobook fan. She tells me all the time, you should be doing audiobooks. Try to figure out how to get into audiobooks. My response to her is, Mother, I'm trying to be a real actor. Enough with the audiobooks. Back up. She's like, okay.
And also, how would you have any idea how to get into audiobooks?
So my mother, because she's a systems librarian and is also a very nosy busybody, goes to Book Expo with her job at the time. She's retired. She's since retired. But so she goes to Book Expo. And what does this little Long Islander do? She finds recorded books and she finds Claudia Howard, who is at the time the main producer over at Miss Howard, I have a daughter who has a lovely voice. I swear to God, you got to hear it. She's so wonderful. My mother completely stalks this woman. And Claudia Howard says, okay, well, tell her to get in touch with me and we'll try to set up in it. My mother says, Therese. All right, her accent isn't this strong anymore, but I love impersonating her like this. She says, Therese.
That is so fun.
Therese.
And that woman was probably thinking, oh, God, help me if she sounds like her mother.
Exactly. First of all, get this crazy lady away from, I don't even want to deal with her daughter, another crazy actress. Okay. So mom says, Therese, I got Claudia Howard's number. Here's her information. Send her an email. Hurry up, Therese. Now listen to your mother. So I am like, Jesus, Mary, and St. Joseph, Mom. Okay, fine. After that horrible audition with the woman that yawned and texted, I had one class left in the package I had bought at Actors Connection. I was done. I was basically going to give up on acting after that last one. I was like, look, I'm obviously not talented.
I'm out.
They're yawning at my heartfelt audition. There's nothing more devastating. But an actress is pouring her heart out and the person's like, yeah, next, we'll be in touch. You're like, why? So I go through the catalog and what do you think I see? Audiobook class.
Audiobooks, yeah.
And there I go. I said, all right, fine. I'll just get my mother off my back. I go to the audiobook class. Robin Miles, who is a phenomenal storyteller, gorgeous human being, is standing at the front of the room. I don't know her from Adam. I don't know anything. I am such a little brat walking into this class because don't you know who I think I am? I want to be a real actor in New York City. What is this? All I equated audiobooks was with libraries, and libraries were, which I loved, but come on, they're like kind of dorky. So I had a bunch of contempt prior to investigation. I do a little piece for Robin Miles. Robin Miles says to me, you need to be doing this. And I say, great. How do I do it? Thinking it's a quick little couple bucks in the bank. She can hook it up. All right, let's do this. And she's like, well, you need to take a class and really learn what this is about. And I was like, oh, I knew it. Another class.
This is a shakedown.
Here's the shyster. I'm like, everybody wants a class. Everyone wants my money. I don't have any money. So I take a deep breath and I talk to my mother, who like loses her mind. And she's like, oh, you got to take the class. You got to take the class. So I go and I take the class. And from that class, I got myself into an actual sound booth. I got myself behind a microphone, and I got myself in an environment where the teacher knew what she was talking about and how this craft is actually done. Yeah. Because everyone can say, oh, I want to read a book. Everyone says I have a great voice. I should read audiobooks. It is not easy becoming every character in a book and sitting in a studio.
It's actually an art and a craft.
Yes, it is a one-woman show, and you are becoming the men. You are becoming the women. You are becoming the and God forbid you do a sci-fi or paranormal. You are becoming the werewolves, the gargoyles, the
creatures.
Yes, the T-Rex, the Sasquatch. No, it's you're everything, and the narrator. So you are telling the story, and you're carrying the story on your back, but then you break and you become that character. And not only that character, but the character that's interacting with 5 other characters, right? So you've got to have this whole, it's a skill you need to learn. And so these classes are really valuable. And I was super, super judgmental about it at first. So from that class, Robin had me audition for something for BBC. I didn't get that. Story's almost over. I know it's a long one. Mike Charzik, executive producer at Audible, was at the studio where this audition had gone through. Now, this is a little bit of the cosmic stuff, okay? Mm-hmm. He hears this audition and he says, who's that girl? They get my information. Robin Miles gives it to him. He calls me while I'm at that little desk in front of my boss's office and says, Thérèse Plummer, Mike Charzik from Audible. I don't know who he is. I don't know what he's talking about, but I'm an actress. And I say, why, yes, of course. Because the best thing we do, right, is we say yes when opportunity comes knocking. Asks me to come down and audition for him. He's going to send me 5 scripts, 5 different, little sections of different types of books. I prep it. I go down. I record for him. I land 2 contracts, and I get my very first romance book to record. It's a Harlequin title, hysterical, Susan Mallory. Light, bright, cheap, and cheerful, right? So I take a week's vacation from work and I record during the day with Mike as my engineer because they're still building Audible headquarters out in Newark, New Jersey. So he's in the city right now. And then at night, I'm rehearsing for an off Broadway play. And I am in heaven.
Yeah,
because
you're in heaven.
I'm doing what I came here to do. And I'm not at that. And then it ends. And then the book's over. And then it's Sunday night. And I have to go to work Monday morning. And I think I'm going to die. Because if I have to step foot back into that office, I don't know how to do it. I don't know.
You might have to open the window.
I swear to God. I was like, it's done. I can't do this. And I got on my knees and prayed to whatever the heck is out there. Was just like, give me the strength. This is the worst day of my life. I get off the subway. I walk into the building on Park Avenue. I go up. My boss is pacing because that's what he does all day, which is another, perk of that job. Not. And he basically says to me, I need you to come in my office, please. I need you to sit down and I need to talk to you. And I was like, what? I hadn't even put my coffee down. So I go into his office. I sit down. We need to let you go. There's not enough work to justify this position. And we all really, really enjoy your presence, but we need to let you go. And I'm sitting there.
Hallelujah.
I know something divine has just happened, right? And so I'm like, okay. There's no pit in my stomach. There's no anything. I know the universe just did for me what I couldn't do for myself. And I walk out to my little desk, but by 5 o'clock, the fear of God comes into me. And I'm like, shit, I get a paycheck every 2 weeks. I have health insurance. Like, what am I going to do? So I leave.
Yeah, and at this point, those books that you did, were they for very much money?
No. Because it's a starting, right? It was the starting rate. So what I make today, no, that's a great point. So I leave work and I'm going to meet some friends at 5 o'clock. My cell phone rings. I pick it up, flip phone days. I open the phone. Therese, it's Mike Charzik. You just finished a book for me. How you doing? I'm like, what? I'm fine, Mike. How are you? Oh, just doing great. Listen, have a question for you. I know this is kind of a shot in the dark, but our narrator is pregnant and she has to be on bed rest for the rest of her pregnancy. Can't finish her contracts. Any chance you're available? I said, why, yes, there is. There's a yes, that will work out just fine. I shut that phone and I have been working ever since. And that is the end of that story. But I share that because sometimes I'm like, how the F did that happen? That's crazy. That shit doesn't happen to me. That happens like in the movies, but it happened. That's how it happened.
Were you just weeping when you hung up the phone with him?
Yeah, I think I squealed with excitement. Because I realized that I never had to go back into that office again. And I didn't even need to take the 2 weeks that they were willing to give me to find a new job, and that a new adventure was about to start. Now, don't get it twisted. I had to, I didn't work a ton the first year because, I was brand new and I didn't get paid a lot. So thank God I got to supplement a little bit with unemployment since I got canned. Canned at the office. What's that?
What a blessing.
I know. So I continue to build relationships and network this entire industry. And I'm so grateful to say today I work for pretty much every publisher in the New York City area, recording their stories. And but that's where it all started.
That's incredible. So tell me this, you also, I'll ask the question rather than telling you. Have you had accents and dialects training?
I haven't had specific training. I've had coaches, and I've also done a lot of, I pick up a lot just by ear. And I've had directors come in and help me, especially with French. Suzanne Torin is a phenomenal director. So when I'm doing a project that requires a French accent or a German accent, the directors that they have with us in the studios will help us with that stuff.
Okay, so you obviously have a knack for it.
Little bit. Well, my dad was a professional actor, turned college professor, and I grew up with him just doing every accent available, and I thought he was off his rocker, and I loved it. But today I was like, oh, thanks, Dad. That was amazing. That was a free gift,
how fun.
Free training.
Now, I've always been very curious about when you do have a director in there as you're doing this, how does that work?
How does it work working with a director during recording?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
how is it different from, say, working in film or TV or theater?
Well, that's the thing. It's not okay. So the thing about working with a director during an audiobook, they're there the entire time. They're on the other side of the glass. You see them. They're listening to you. So is the engineer. But so they're your second set of eyes and ears. And you're in your world and you're creating it. And then some of my favorite direction has been they'll let you get to the end of your chapter and then they'll say, okay, just a couple pickups. Let's go back to page 4. Let's look at that paragraph again. Let's just get that a little bit more involved, right? Let's see that a little bit more and they'll just give you those little things. So as you go through the project, it's a very, very, feels like a team effort. It's almost like they're right there with you. When I've done Law and Order SVU, when I did The Good Wife, when I've done Doubt, stage plays, same thing during the rehearsal process. But then once the camera's rolling or you're up on the stage, it's you. You got to do this, right? And the director in film and TV can yell cut, take 2, take 3, take 4. Stage, no. You got it or you blow it. And if you blow it, you just pretend like you didn't blow it because the audience usually doesn't know. But the director will do their job all the way up to the point but then you're the little bird that gets kicked out of the nest and they're like, please fly, please.
Please. And they have their fingers crossed.
Yeah.
So when you're doing an audiobook, do you meet with the director before you do your preparation, or do you do your whole preparation and you know how you're going to do it and you go in ready to go and then they tweak?
100% the second. Yeah, I prep everything. I read it. They will read it, the script as well. We don't meet beforehand. If there's any specific questions, I'll email them and be like, hey, how do we say? But when they come in and I come in, we've both done our homework and then we just get into the story together.
So when you're prepping and rehearsing, are you reading the entire book out loud?
I don't read it out loud. I read it to myself. If there's a section that kind of blows my mind because it's so beautiful, all of a sudden I'm reading it out loud. I don't even realize I'm doing it. The Snow Child by Eowyn Ivey. I just finished that for Hachette last year. The most beautiful book I've ever read and I've ever performed. And I actually weeped when I finished prepping it. The characters, it's like an adult fairy tale. And the characters were so beautiful and so well written and so gentle and simple. And I don't know why, they just kind of set up shop in my soul. And I was like, I didn't want them to go. I didn't want the story to end. And that's only happened maybe 2 or 3 times in my whole career, which has been about 13 years now.
It really sticks with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
How long does it take to record a book?
It can take me, for a 350-page book, which is kind of the norm, about 4 days, about 6 hours a day in the studio with about an hour, 45-minute lunch break, and then maybe 2 to 3 10-minute breaks throughout the day.
What do you do to take care of your instrument?
Sleep. Sleep is the number one thing. I'm in bed by 9 o'clock on record days, and I get up around 6:30. I do this hysterical thing in the studio. So my engineers and I, if we're not laughing most of the day, then it's not a good storytelling day. Something that I do sometimes, because, we all take ourselves too seriously. And especially if you're listening to your own voice in your headphones all day, it can be a little bit of a mind game. So we'll record for about a half hour. And then I have my one friend, Kyle, he pumps in Rocky IV music to my headphones and we'll do squats and push-ups and sit-ups. And I make him stand up too and do it on the other side of the glass. And then we're like totally re-energized to like hit another chapter or a couple chapters, because after 3 or 4 hours of just reading and performing and creating, it's exhausting. You got to like have little tricks to kind of keep yourself.
Sure.
Yeah.
If I do 2 or 3 podcasts in a day, I just got to go to bed. It's just too much.
It's a lot of talking, right?
Yeah. And that's a lot of energy and being on. And yeah.
Oh God, being on. It's exhausting. My favorite is doing these scenes with like 5 different guys and they're all fighting a war in a sci-fi book and everybody's screaming. And they're like, and you've got to have the guy, like nobody can just, just very calmly talk it through. No, they've got, and the author will use words like he howls, he roars. So there's a ton of roaring going on. And I'm like, Kyle, give me 5 minutes. I need to go outside and just shut STFU. I just need to not talk for like 5 minutes. Ay, ay, ay. It's
my God. And then are you also reading those stage directions in the book?
No.
Are you roaring and saying he roars?
Well, that's the narration. Yeah, that's the narration, right? So it's, get off. I'm just totally improving right now.
Yeah.
Get off of my land. This is not where you belong. He roars. So you go from like the roaring, he roars, to all of a sudden just a normal voice that's like narrating the scene. It is so many personalities. People are like, what did you do today? I said, oh my God. My husband is
I use all of my therapeutic skills.
So many people, so little time. It's great. It's great, but it's a lot. Yeah.
Now, I saw that you won some big award for doing this. Tell us about that.
Well, in LA, they have the SOVAs, which is Society of Voice Arts. I think that's what it stands for. And they're actually coming up this November. I have a number of colleagues that are heading out to LA for that. I won that year. I have it behind me on my dresser. It's so beautiful. But for a faith-based fiction book that I do, a series I do for Irene Hannon, and this was called Hope Harbor. And I won that year. And it was hysterical because I thought they made a mistake. I was like, no. And all of a sudden, my voice is playing. They play the expert of the winner. And my producer goes, get down on the stage. It was my little Hollywood moment. We were on Warner Brothers Studio.
Fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's
and then,
so great.
So the Oscars in our industry is called the Audies, and it's usually hosted in New York City every year. And black tie event, Tan France hosted last year. They always get a big name to kind of come in and host it. And it's I've been nominated quite a few times for that. And it's a huge atta girl, and it feels really good that people like my storytelling. But I'm going to tell you something, and I don't mean to sound like a Hallmark movie channel right now, but I'm going to tell you what means more to me and what has meant more to me. Because the awards, I don't know, my ego gets really screwed up with those. And it's like, oh God, I got to win. And if I don't win, I suck. The stuff we say to ourselves.
The actor trap.
The human trap. Especially the actor. I got an email from a woman whose mom went blind and really, really got depressed. And because the one thing she loved to do more than anything was read. And the daughter had an idea one day to bring home audiobooks and just start playing them in the house to kind of keep her mom company, but also so that her mom could have access to these stories again. So her mom was just, in a dark room and just in her own dark world for the longest time. And she said this in an email to me, and it was very, very eloquent. She said, when we play the audiobook, there's a series that her mom especially likes. It's a Robin Carr series I've done called Virgin River, which Netflix has just picked up, and it's going to become a televised series. She said the light comes on in her face and it's brought her back to life. And I can't thank you enough. I'm so grateful that you do what you do for a living. Please don't stop. And so, of course, I'm sitting at my laptop just sobbing.
Yeah,
and I had a moment where I was like, oh, that's why I do this.
Yeah.
I thought I came to New York to be famous and be on Broadway and get my Tony and have that meant more to me, that email. And I've received a lot of other ones with truckers, veterans with PTSD telling me, when I listen to your audiobooks, they calm me down. They help me breathe. I mean, shit, wait, what?
Come on. That's kind of the best kind of famous.
Yeah.
You can still walk around in the street.
Anonymous famous.
Yeah. Perfect.
Soul famous, right? Like, oh, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do on this planet and it's helping people. Yay.
It's such a meaningful thing. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a community of voiceover actors that you
The best people. I have the greatest community. We laugh about it sometimes because, we're all professional actors. And when you're in the acting audition and cattle calls, it gets a little nasty.
Yeah.
The kindest, sweetest, most generous, beautiful men and women I've ever met. And, we get jealous. We all are up for the same job sometimes. And we're like, son of a bitch, who's getting all the books? Because we're all auditioning. But when it comes down to it, just the most selfless and encouraging community of people I've ever met. I'm going out with 5 of them tomorrow night to see Hustlers. It's going to be a girls' night and we're going to have dinner and just catch up with each other and just help each other through projects and keep each other laughing. And it's an amazing community. Amazing.
That's so fun. Do you find that you also read books for pleasure?
Girl, I have tried to read a book for pleasure in the last 10 years, and I just never can because I'm usually prepping between 3 and 4 different books that have to go in the studio. But I just got the Tori Amos book, and I leave it in places where I know I can pick it up and read like a page or two, when I have some time. But no, when I try to do it.
You must read more than everybody else anyway.
Well, I've recorded over 400 books.
Yeah, you're doing the most reading.
That's like a library. Who does that? Oh my God.
Oh, God, that's $70.
I'm like, stop reading. Just stop. It's so good. And so many of them have been awesome, but we got to, you know what we got to talk about? We got to talk about the romance book. We got to talk about.
Yes. Oh, yes. I was going to ask you when you said that was your first job. Yeah. Tell me about that. And also, how do you read the sex scenes?
That's it. Okay. Because as I was like playing it so safe, I'm like, yeah, and then we do the war scenes. I'm like, Therese, just talk about this. That's what everyone wants to know about.
Talk through the sex.
Okay, so my first audiobook was with Mike Charzik, and it was a Harlequin romance. Let's just say, as a recovering Irish Catholic, I was 50 Shades of Red in that studio. I was freaking mortified. I was like, Jesus Christ. I had to detach a little bit because I was like, this is so embarrassing. Today, I get right into it. I'm like, look, you got to do the truckers and prisoners their service. You got to just, really, really bring this to life, girl.
Oh my God.
Now I'm going to tell this. A lot of men and women don't do this, but I have a Facebook page. I record under a pseudonym because some of the books are extra McSaucy, and my pseudonym is Savannah Richards. And then I have another pseudonym for the extra McSaucy, and I won't tell you what that is because I need to keep some things a secret. But
I'm looking up Savannah.
I know what happened with the sex scenes is that okay. So the first book I did, I of course read my reviews on Audible, which were Mike Charzik was like, "Don't read the reviews."
Yeah, why would you do that?
People are because I'm 27 and my ego is like fragile, and I need to know that I'm like amazing because I have no sense of self yet. So I read the reviews, and I was like, "Why did you do that?" They basically, the one woman was like, I need a man's voice. And I was like, oh, this is real.
Ooh.
People listen to romance for a reason. Okay. So I worked on my guy voice like nobody's business. I was like, nope, that's my job now. I have to have a good, deep male voice. So when I do, this is the funniest part of doing sex scenes. So I can't believe I'm talking about this on a podcast.
Bring it.
I should have just had like a piece like brought up so I could do one for you. But so you do the guys.
Oh my God, yes.
Should I just do that? Should I just find that? Well, that'll take a second.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I didn't.
Slice of erotica in the middle of my podcast.
Yeah, that's the podcast I want to do. I want to do like 50 Shades of whatever. That book is coming up. It's a 50 Shade-esque kind of book that I'm doing next week, and I'm like mortified that I didn't tell them to use my pseudonym. But the guy is like, so there's a lot of panting and there's a lot of moaning and there's an unbelievable vocabulary for body parts. Did you know?
Yeah.
Of course, her
not.
sweet
How would
mound,
I know?
her pleasure center. He sheathed his member. I mean, these are some of the things that we say. And half the time I burst out laughing and my engineer's like, just get through it. I'm like, oh my God, this is the worst. But you're having sex as the guy, as the girl, but then the narrator comes in, like the third person narrator comes in and starts like, describing what's happening. Girl, I'm telling you, if you don't have a therapist before becoming a narrator, you will definitely have one after. It's too much.
I mean, these are mad skills. You can't just walk off the street and do this.
These are mad skills. That is so perfect. Hell yeah, they are. We all do them.
Now, are you doing any teaching?
I should. I want to. I'm writing right now. I'm writing a book. I haven't talked about that too much. I had another podcast interview and I told him I'm writing a book. I'm about 100 pages in and it's about 6 years in the making. And I don't teach, but I do coach. I do coach privately. So if anyone needs a little help, starting out on this stuff, you can just find my website, TheresePlummer.com, and shoot me a quick email and we'll figure it out.
Now, is your book a how-to or are you writing fiction?
I'm not gonna go into. That was a long stall. Wasn't that? That was it was epic stall.
Yeah. I could edit half that sigh and it would still be there.
That was a long song. I don't want to say because it keeps manifesting in my head. So I don't want to claim it as one thing and then it turns into something else. But I'm just so excited that I'm actually doing it. It's taken me so long. Yeah.
So now, do you envision that you're going to be doing this forever?
Well, that's not even that deep of a question. And that just like completely blew my mind. I'm like, but wait, I live a day at a I live in the day. So forever seems really like a real commitment. I will.
Let me say it this way. Do you have other career goals?
Yes.
Or is this the career?
Yes. Well, always, the stage, TV, and film acting. Super lucky to do commercial VO and coaching, but now the writing. I really am feeling passionate about writing. So as long as authors have stories for me to tell and want my voice to tell them, 100%, I will be available for that. But besides that, yes, I have a ton of creative outlets that need a little nurturing right now.
Great. What advice do you have for people who are just starting out and want to follow your path?
Please take a class.
Besides the lightning strike.
Yes. No, just really, I heard a teacher say once, if you think you'd be good at this career, grab your favorite book, go into a quiet room, closet, bathroom, wherever, where you can shut the door, kids aren't screaming, and put on a timer for 20 minutes and then just read and become the characters, become the narrator, but just read and don't stop for that 20 minutes. See how that feels for you and your body and your heart. You might be like, oh, that is not at all what I was thinking this was going to be. This is actually like a lot more than I thought. Or you'll be like, wow, this is crazy cool. And I need to know how to do this. So then if you do feel the second way, there are professional teachers in New York and LA. Dion's studio in LA is incredible. I know PJ Oakland does classes. I don't know off the cuff who else is teaching out there right now, but in New York City, you can look up Johnny Heller. You can look up Piper Goodeve. You can look up, there's a ton of audiobook. Paul Rubin is incredible. And so I would say take a class, invest in yourself and take a class, and you'll end up in the booth doing this as the professionals do and really, really get an idea of what this whole thing is involved with. But I used to laugh at the classes. I'm like, oh, it's such a sham. They really aren't because it's a lot of work and you need to know how to do it. You need to tell good stories. Yeah.
That's right. So is audiobook training and voiceover training different?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Because the sustainability, right? So I still every single day before I go into the studio do my vocal warm-ups and my diaphragm warm-ups. I still sleep. I'm like a vocal athlete. I have to go in and sustain for 6 hours a day, 4 days a week, 5 days a week sometimes. I worked for 2 months almost straight last year, and I will never do that again. It just it's feast or famine. It just so happened that a bunch of projects came in at the same time. That was incredible. I was like, first of all, this is unsustainable. But second of all, wow, this is requiring muscles that I didn't even know that I had. So you really, really have to take care of your instrument. You have to know what you're doing, so that you don't blow it on the first book. Yeah.
You have to be breathing right.
Yes.
And holding your throat right and doing all of those things so you're not voiceless within 2 days.
Exactly.
Have you encountered much sexism in this profession?
I wish I could say I haven't, but it's still a man's world in a lot of respects. The good news is that the women are kicking ass and taking names. A lot of the women are, the one thing is that we are all girl bosses. We're all lady bosses, right? So we're all working for ourselves, as are the gentlemen. But the this is very interesting. And this may just be my opinion, but a lot of the research and the conversations I've had, people still gravitate towards male voices, right? And most car commercials you'll hear are male voices, most, things. So it's interesting. Do I make my voice deeper to sound more masculine in order to be in the running to get certain jobs? I refuse. This old archaic idea that women's voices are shrill and whiny is bullshit. It's just not what it is. And we bring something to storytelling that is soft and feminine and beautiful, that maybe a male voice of its own, just regular storytelling, what am I looking for? Tone, can't do. Timber. Thank you. Yeah. And so it's about just continuing to navigate this road, but also when I told you my community rocks, I have so many women in this community that stick together and create opportunities for each other. That's the stuff that needs to continue to happen, to have each other's backs and not be competitive, but to just be collaborative. And that's what I see a lot of in this community and in this industry, which I'm excited and hopeful about.
Amen, sister. Now, tell me this: is this unionized?
Yes, SAG-AFTRA all the way.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So then, do you have some comfort that the pay is somewhat equitable?
Yes, our union has, the thing that we're fighting for the most now is to be able to receive royalties. Yeah, for work. The writers receive that, and we work at a set rate, which the union has fought for a certain standard rate for us, which is fantastic. But after that, the audiobooks continue selling, the books continue selling. We need a cut of that, because there's times where, like I said, feast or famine, the jobs are kind of far and few between. We need a little bit of a
sustaining income.
Thank you. Yeah. And we can't collect disability.
I'm good at this game.
I feel like we're married. I love it. I'm like in the blank. So no, yeah. And we don't have access to that as of yet.
It's surprising to me you don't get royalties. I would think of them as like residuals. But yeah, it makes sense that you should.
Yeah, residuals, royalties. It's time. It's just
based on sales.
Yeah. So it's something that we constantly bring up in our union meetings, and we constantly revisit, but it hasn't happened yet. So,
are you able to negotiate above scale?
I do. I just started believing in my worth enough to be able to start having those tough conversations a couple years ago. And I've been, yeah, it really is. It's, not to sound hokey, but know your worth. And I was terrified for a long time to be, and I was just like, just so grateful for a job, as most actors are. And then after about 10 years, I was like, you know what, Therese, you're a good storyteller. And what's the worst that can happen? They say no big deal. But, as actors, we're like, oh God, if we ask, then they'll be like, she's being difficult and they'll never hire her again. And, it keeps us in a little box. And so I just said, screw it. And I called the woman and I was like, hey, so I'm looking at a rate of this for this project. Are you guys able to do that? And she wrote back, no problem. See you in the studio. Jesus. That took years to be able to ask for that. I was petrified. So I tried.
What do you think it was that got you over the hump? Because that's a big deal.
I had moved upstate. I had gone through a pretty bad breakup, and I moved upstate, which was a dream of mine. And I was just kind of healing in a lot of areas of my life at that time. And I think I just got the cojones to be like, fuck it, just ask. And also, like, she has no problem asking me to do this project last minute and like hustle and record that. And I touched base with a couple of my sisters, my narrator sisters, and was like, you guys, and they gave me like, we got your back. Just ask. And all of them were like, oh my God, we'd be so scared too. But I just took a deep breath, pulled my big girl pants on, and was like, just do it. Just do it. What's the worst that can happen? They say no. My brain was like, no, the worst that can happen is they'll never hire you again because you're being difficult. So that's what kept me frozen for a lot of years. And I guess I just didn't care. I was just like, I don't care. I'm going to ask for what I need. I'm so sick of living paycheck to paycheck. I need them to compensate. So, and they did. And I wasn't even asking for that much money. That's what's so sad. But it was
right. And they didn't even hesitate.
She's like, no problem.
There's the lesson.
That's the lesson, and also to have the support of my girlfriends, and because they say today they ask for more too. And they're like, we're all paving the way for each other. But my one girlfriend says that. She's like, because we do a group text, there's 5 of us. The one says, if any of us were a guy, we wouldn't even hesitate to ask. And I was like, that's right.
Right.
You know?
Because they're not going to say, oh, we've changed our mind. We're not going to hire you. You're fired. Yeah. They're just going to say, no, it's the best we can do.
It's the best we can do.
And next time they may think, oh, you know what? We have to budget a little more because she's going to ask for more.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was just, it felt so good as a woman in business for herself, but just as like a human being, like navigating the planet, and that self-esteem that got put on my back when I sent the email and when I got the return, it was awesome. That was like the icing on the cake, but just so sending the email was the best part. I was just like, oh my God, what did I do?
Well, you might have just changed your life.
Yeah. So good.
Oh, that is fantastic. Thanks. Okay, what did I not ask you about that I should have asked you about?
Oh my God, girl. You hit you had great questions. I feel like you hit it all. We had to talk about the sex scenes because those are hysterical. Oh, you know what the one thing is? Do you listen to audiobooks?
You know what? I listen to podcasts.
Yes, me too, queen.
So that's what I'm listening to all day long. And every now and then I'll listen to an audiobook, but I haven't yet subscribed to Audible.
That's okay.
Don't tell anybody.
I love how you whisper it. They can't hear you.
It is on my list.
We're still friends. That's so funny.
Yeah, I think I will, because my commute is really long.
Well, what's hysterical is my girlfriend Lauren Fortgang and I are obsessed with true crime podcasts, and so we record the audiobooks, but we listen to podcasts all the time.
Yeah, and it takes all your time just to keep up with your podcast.
I know. I just finished The Teacher's Pet, and I was like, Lauren, what's next? I'm done with Teacher's Pet. She's got like a whole list for me. It's fantastic. I don't know why. It's the podcasts remind me of like NPR, and I grew up with that in my house on 24/7. And it's just this soothing quality of, I don't know. It works for me. I really like it.
Yeah, it's the best. And I do enjoy holding a book and reading it.
The smell of a new book. Nothing better.
It's the best. But you have inspired me. I think I will go finally subscribe to Audible. Hear that, Audible?
Well, if you want a recommendation, I finished a book for Hachette called There's a Word for That, and it's about a huge dysfunctional family in rehab. I know. I love that shit.
Yes, please.
I'm like Royal Tenenbaums, but that goes to treatment, and it was so much fun to record. I think you might like it. So you can do it in small doses. Like you could turn it into a podcast.
Okay, perfect. Okay, where can people find you again?
www.thereseplummer.com.
You spell that, please.
TheresePlummer.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. This is such a delight to talk to you.
You too. Thank you.
You've been listening to The Other 50%, a herstory of Hollywood. I'm Julie Harris Walker. I'd like to thank Thérèse Plummer for sharing her story, and especially for doing the voice of her mom. And special thanks to Jay Rowe, Danny Rosner, and Allison McQuaid for the music. Please find us on your favorite podcast provider and leave a review. And of course, on our website, theother50%.com, all spelled out, for added features, bios of our guests, and the coffee cups. You can also follow us on all the social media platforms. Thanks for listening. See you next time. Today I spoke over the interwebs with Thérèse Plummer. Therese is an actor and award-winning audiobook narrator working in New York City. Narrator?
Yeah, interwebs?
Narrator?
Interwebs? You said narrator.
Narrator.